𝗦𝗲𝗃𝗀𝗵𝗿 इन्द्राणिपति सर्भाव पूजिते परमेश्वरी रूपं देहि जयं देहि यशो देहि त्रिशो जहि. Our residents, Swamiji, Swami Viswanathanandaji Maharaj and Swami Shivaamritanandaji Maharaj, by 𝗦𝗲𝗃𝗀𝗵𝗰, who is chairing our satsang, the sponsors of this our 7th session of our Navratri satsang, Auntie Baby and family, devotees and friends who have gathered here with us at the ashram this evening, devotees and friends who have joined us online. I would like to join Vijay in welcoming all of you to our satsang on this most holy evening. Today is Ashtami. It's the 8th lunar tithi of the Sharad Navratri. Ashtami is one of the holiest days of Navratri, Durga Ashtami, because on Ashtami, remember last night I described the death of 𝗦𝗃𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗃. It was on a night like this that 𝗦𝗃𝗏𝗏𝗃 was killed by the Devi, that powerful demon whose every drop of blood created a new demon. It was a night like this also that Chanda and Munda, two other powerful demon generals, were killed by the Devi. That is why sometimes she is called Chamunda Devi, because she killed Chanda and Munda. So for those reasons, Ashtami is very significant and holy, because it is a day of victory, just like the 10th day, Vijayadashmi. You witness these innocent children being worshipped during the Kanj Puja. And what is the tradition? The word Kanj literally means virgin, pure, innocent. And these little children, they're so pure, they're so innocent. It is in their forms that the Devi is represented, because she is purity itself. She is holiness itself. When children are small like these children, their vibrations are very high. They can see into the other world. They can see supernatural beings because of their pure thoughts and their purity. Many times you as parents, when they try to tell you something, you shut them down because you think that it is not true, and so after that they don't tell you anymore because they're scared to tell you. But they're aware of a lot of things happening in the other world because of their purity, because of their high vibrations. So that is why we visualize the Divine Mother in each one of them. Devi has 9 forms now, Durga. We visualize the Divine Mother in each one of these 9 forms, and we worship her through them. That is the basis of Kanj Puja. It is done on the Ashtami or the Navami. My dear friends, my katha this evening is taken from the Devi Bhagavad Puran. And I will use verses from BRAHMACHARINI to describe Brahmacharini. Brahmacharini is one of the forms of the Devi, one of the 9 forms. You have Brahmachari, masculine, Brahmacharini, feminine. A Brahmacharini is a girl who does tremendous tapasya in her quest for God, who is pure, who is holy, and who strives single-mindedly for God realization. In this chaupai from Balkand of the Ramcharitmanas, Tulsidas writes,
Jai Ambe Ma, Jai Ambe Ma, Jai Ambe Ma, Jagadambe Ma, Jai Ambe Ma, Jai Ambe Ma, Jai Ambe Ma, Jagadambe Ma.
Uradari Uma Pranpati Charana Jai Bipimla Gita Pukarana Uradari Uma Pranpati Charana Jai Bipimla Gita Pukarana
Jai Ambe Ma, Jagadambe Ma,
Ati Sukumarna Kanutap Jogu Ati Sukumarna Kanutap Jogu Pati Parasu Meri Tajeu Sab Bhogu Pati Parasu Meri Tajeu Sab Bhogu
Jai Ambe Ma, Jai Ambe Ma, Jai Ambe Ma, Jagadambe Ma, Jai Ambe Ma, Jai Ambe Ma, Jai Ambe Ma, Jagadambe Ma, Jai Ambe Ma, Jagadambe Ma, Jai Ambe Ma, Jagadambe Ma.
When Shailaputri during one of my kathas, I described Shailaputri, the very first form of the Devi. When she gave up her body because of what her father Daksha did to Lord Shiva, she was reborn as Parvati to King Himavan and Queen Maina. As she grew up, Parvati's mind became more and more fixed on Lord Shiva. Parvati was a princess. She was accustomed to all the luxuries that a princess was accustomed to. But these comforts gave her no satisfaction. She was becoming more and more restless. She wanted only Lord Shiva. Nothing else but God will satisfy her. She knew that to find God, she would have to give up all the comforts that she was accustomed to. All the comforts of palace life that she was accustomed to. She knew she had to give that up because that is how we prove our love to God. It is easy to say, I love you, God. I love you, Divine Mother. But we have to reflect that in our actions. And so she made up her mind that whatever it took for her to find God, she was going to find the Lord. To find God, we have to put God first. Naturally, her parents protested. They said, Parvati, the jungle, the forest is a dangerous place. Even for males. And you are a female, you're a young girl, you are a maiden, you're a princess. Do you know what dangers you'll be exposing yourself to go all alone in the forest? There are robbers, there are wild animals, forest fires. How can you make out? You don't know what hardship is. But she said to her parents, do not worry about me, mother, father. One who seeks God will be protected by God. Somehow, He's going to show me the way. And so she left the palace and went all alone in the dangerous jungle to practice sadhana. Her delicate form was not made for sadhana. But yet, she was determined. Tulsidas writes, though her delicate frame was not meant for austerities, yet she abandoned all delights and fixed her mind on the feet of her Lord. She was accustomed to a soft bed, comfortable seats. It was not easy to sit on the bare ground. It was not easy at nights when it was so cold. But for God, she would do anything. We all want God, don't we? But how many of us are willing to work for God, work to find God? There was a white follower of Paramahansa Yogananda, a rich businessman, very wealthy, but he was not happy. He was always restless, and when he came in contact with Paramahansa Yogananda, for once he was able to sit still in the presence of the Master. He became a disciple. His office hours started from 10 o'clock. And he was busy throughout the day. By the time he was finished, it was late at night before he went home. How was he to practice sadhana? He wanted God. He wanted to realize God as Guru, so inspired him that he wanted to be like his Guru. Always in God's presence, always thinking of God. So you know what he did? He got up very early every morning. At 3 o'clock, he got up. He went to his office and he meditated until 10 o'clock every day without fail, every single day. He told his secretary he would come in by 9 o'clock, that if anybody asks to meet with me before 10, tell them I have a very important engagement. And indeed he had. That engagement every day with God is the most important engagement for us to begin our day. And he grew spiritually. He was one of the first Westerners to be able to go into Samadhi by the grace of his Guru. His Guru transmitted that experience to him. So he was willing to sacrifice to realize God, and he realized God. Nar and Narayan were sons of King Dharma. Just like this white man I described just now, this king had a busy day from the time his day started until late into the evening. He was very busy with affairs of state. But he too got up every morning, perhaps 3 o'clock or earlier, and he sat in front of the Shiv Lingam and he would chant Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya for hours. And his two sons, Nar and Narayan, when they saw their father worshipping Lord Shiva, they too developed an interest and they started to worship Lord Shiva. And they found so much joy in worshipping Lord Shiva that when King Dharma said to them, one of you has to succeed me. I want to go into the forest to worship Lord Shiva. Or not, I want to make you the king. But Nod said, no, father, I don't want to be the king. Can you imagine that? Look how politicians are fighting for power, especially during this time of elections. Everybody, they speak the nastiest thing about their opponents, whether true or not. They will do anything to get power. And here we see a young boy being given the throne by his father, and he said, no, father, I don't want the throne. I want to worship Lord Shiva. The father approached the other son, Narayan. Oh, Narayan, your brother refuses to take the throne. You have to take the throne. We have an obligation to our people. Narayan said, Pitaji, Shama kijiye, Pitaji, forgive me. I don't want the throne. I only want Lord Shiva. And so the father appealed to his people that my two sons will not take the throne. Perhaps if you appeal to them, one of them will take the throne. I've ruled long enough. I want freedom to worship my Lord. And so the people came en masse and they said to Nara Narayan, we will not leave the palace. We'll sleep on the palace grounds until one of you takes the throne. And Nara Narayan said, okay, people, we appreciate your love for us. We'll make a decision by morning. So the people said, okay, we'll sleep on the palace grounds tonight until you make your decision. Well, they were not prepared for that, the two young princes. After midnight, when the people hunkered down to sleep, Nar and Narayan, they ran away from the palace. They escaped into the jungle, and there they did sadhana. So when we love God, when we want God, nothing stands in our way. If you badly want something, nothing will stand in your way to achieve that something. Isn't it true? In the same way, if we want God, if we truly want God, if we want God above and beyond anything else, nothing can stop us from seeking God with all our strength and our intensity. So even though it was not easy for Parvati, she was determined. The path to God is never easy, my friends. You know, before, if you ever went into a blacksmith's shop, I don't know if they have blacksmiths in America, but when I was in Guyana, we had to fabricate parts for our tractor and our plows and so on. So early in the morning, we had to go. When we couldn't find parts, we had to ask the blacksmith to fabricate parts. And to fabricate a part, he had to take the metal, put it in the fire, and then he beat it to the shape that he wanted. Without passing the metal through the fire, it couldn't be bent into shape. In the same way, sadhana makes us fit to be bent to that form which is suitable for God realization. We must be determined. Only the determined will be able to find God. There's a saying in the spiritual path: the first will be last, and the last will be first. The first person to leave when trouble comes, when difficulties come, when hardships come, he's last in God's eyes. But he who lasts the course, he who is last, who goes through the entire course without giving up, in God's eyes, he's first, or she's first. There must be that determination. There was a sadhu who was suffering from acute diabetes. His body was covered with sores. He couldn't even sit at the start for 5 minutes. As soon as he sat for 5 minutes, the pain was so great he had to get up. He couldn't bear it. But by constantly applying himself, he was able to sit for hours every day in meditation. One day, in his deep meditation, he prayed to the Lord, Lord, please come into my broken temple. And as he prayed, he saw the light of God enter his body. And when he came out of meditation, his body was totally healed. His body was made whole again. So Parvati continued despite her body was not made for sadhana. For some days her only sustenance was water and air, and for a few days she observed a yet more strict fast. And for a long time she maintained herself only on the dry leaves of the bael tree that fell to the ground. Sadhana. Parvati, Princess Parvati, is demonstrating to us through her example how we must prove our love to God. And you might say, Swamiji, how do you apply that to this present age? You want us to leave our day jobs and go live in the forest to prove our love to God? No, I don't want you to do that. I don't want to make yogis or sadhus of you because you're grihastis. I'll be committing a sin. But what I'm saying is that if we love God, we can spiritualize our everyday actions. When we're working every day, my Lord, I'm doing this for you. And when we have a few spare minutes every day, we close our eyes, or even if we can close our eyes because we don't want to draw attention to ourselves, we talk to God in the language of our souls. My Lord, I love you. That is all that God is asking for us, to remember Him. For us to love Him. He has everything. The fruits you offer, the money you offer, they're already His. It's good to offer it because that's a way of expressing our love. But those things, they're already His. There is only one thing which is not His, which He wants from us, and that is our love. And unless we give our love to Him, He doesn't have it. So we can at least, or you can at least as grihastis, if you truly love God, try to remember Him throughout the day. In the morning when you wake up, at least you have a few minutes. The more you love God, the more time you'll have in the morning, even if it means sacrificing an hour, half an hour for your sleep. If you truly love God, you will do it. People will party until 1 o'clock in the morning and go to work the next day because they love the party. But when it is time for God, oh, I have my 8 hours to sleep. If I don't get my 8 hours, what will I do the next day? Parvati continued her sadhana in this next chaupai. Tulsidas writes,
Jai Ambe Ma, Jai Ambe Ma, Jai Ambe Ma, Jagadambe Ma, Jai Ambe Ma, Jai Ambe Ma, Jai Ambe Ma.
सुख अस बर पाए बल बूलेहु तागा के बौराए कहु कवन सुख अस बर पाए बल बूलेहु तागा के बौराए
जय अम्बे मां जगदम्बे मां
पंच कहे शिव सती विवाही पंच कहे शिव सती विवाही पुण्यवदेरी मरा एनहिताही
जय अम्बे मां जय अम्बे मां जय अम्बे मां जगदम्बे मां जय अम्बे मां जय अम्बे मां जय अम्बे मां जगदम्बे मां जय अम्बे मां जगदम्बे मां जय अम्बे मां जगदम्बे मां.
The days, the months, even the years went by, but Shiva was not coming. Her body became like a skeleton. But yet she persisted, the princess persisted in her sadhana. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Day and night she was chanting God's name. And then one day, someone dressed as a sadhu passed by and they saw her. They said, Princess Parvati, what's the matter with you? I always used to see you as a beautiful princess. Look what has happened to your body. You're seeking Shiva. Why are you seeking Shiva? Shiva is ugly. Shiva is Bhutnath. Shiva has snakes around his neck. Shiva has animal skin around his waist. Shiva rubs ashes of dead bodies that have been cremated on his skin. Shiva is repulsive. Why are you wasting your time, princess? When we're seeking God, there's so many detractors who will try their best to discourage us. Why do you seek God? Many years ago, when I was thinking of living this life of a sadhu, becoming a brahmachari, an elderly man who was a teacher at the Hindu college, one day he cornered me. He was staying in the ashram as well. And he said, "Hey young man, are you stupid? Are you ugly? What's the matter with you? You have a bright future ahead of you in the academic field. This life is hard and unrewarding. Besides, there is no tangible enjoyment, only a promise that you will find happiness in the end. Worldly things give instant gratification. Don't do it. Do not embrace this life." Yes, there are people who will try their best to stop you from living this path, following this path, or the path not necessarily of a monk, but a path of spirituality. They will tell you as grihastis, "Hey, look what is happening to you. Look how you're suffering. When you didn't go to mandir, when you didn't go to ashram, life was smooth. You were enjoying life. What happened now? You're following God and trouble comes your way." When I was at the University of Guyana, I had to do 1 year of national service. because you didn't pay fees then, Burnham wanted you to do 1 year of national service as payment for your academic education. And I was stationed at Papaya in the Northwest District. And one day I noticed that 2 of the officers, one I think was a sergeant and one was a corporal in the national service, they had a young boy running in the field. And when he couldn't run, they were dragging him. I understood later that he was a Christian boy who was, as they call him, a brother. But after they did that to the boy, and every time he fell down, they grabbed him and pulled him and pushed him. And they had little baton, they will hit him and said, you have to run. And when he stopped, they said, there is only one way. We will stop pressing you to run. You have to curse. You have to say bad things. Then we will stop. And so perhaps to end his suffering, he cursed and he said nasty things. And they clapped and they laughed. When you try to follow God, there are so many who will try their best to stop you. They will tell you, well, look at Ramakrishna. He was a sadhu, you said. He was a great soul, but he died with throat cancer. He couldn't even drink water. Is that what you want? Paramahansa Yogananda, during the latter part of his life, he was almost a cripple. Is that how God treats his saints, his devotees? Is that a God you want to worship? Baba Gambhir Nath, or Param Guru, Guru of Guru Maharaj, he had to get eye operation. If a great soul like him, as you say, was a follower of God, why something happened to his eye? Harishchandra, King Harishchandra followed truth, and what he got? Lost his kingdom, and his family had to be sold as slaves. Is that what you want? There's a verse which a holy man wrote. And this is how he goes. He'll test your strength, he meaning God. He'll test your strength to make you strong. For what's not used grows weak, and strip you of what pulls you from the highest goal you seek. Just like the metal which is being passed through the searing fire to bend it into shape. The trials we go through in spiritual life, those who follow spiritual life, are meant to bend us into shape so that we'll be more worthy of God. So, this man dressed as a sadhu is saying to Parvati, "Oh princess, you're making a big mistake. Go back home now. Don't waste your time on Shiva. I've thought of a better Lord for you, who is exceedingly handsome, who is wonderful to look at, who will suit you. Don't waste your time on Shiva." So the world is saying to us, come, have a nice time. Dunia ke masa lelo. Party, have fun, enjoy. Don't waste your time on seeking God. The swamis and the pandits, they're fooling you. They want your money. Don't you want name and fame? Don't you want to be recognized by the world? Don't you want everybody to know you? Don't you want tamasha? Don't you want fun? Come to the party. The swamis are liars. They are hypocrites. I know one of them who is bad, therefore all of them, they're bad. The pundits are liars and hypocrites. I know one of them who is bad, therefore all of them are bad. All of them must defend themselves. Because one brush we paint all of them with. If a policeman who is supposed to protect us, he does something wrong, he commits a crime, the other policemen don't have to defend themselves. If a doctor who is supposed to look after our health commits a crime, doesn't mean all the doctors are bad and they don't have to defend themselves. But if a person dressed in these robes, one person who should do something wrong or even alleged to do something wrong, all those who wear these robes, they have to defend themselves because all of them are bad. That is the world. O Parvati, Narad told you to seek Shiva in this way. Narad is not a holy man. Narad is a swindler. He misled you. He's a cheat. Parvati, come back. Go back home to your parents and enjoy life. Don't waste your time on Shiva. Shiva is a waste. Shiva is not for you. You are not for Shiva. In this next chaupai, Tulsidas writes,
Jai Ambe Ma, Jai Ambe Ma, Jai Ambe Ma, Jagadambe Ma, Jai Ambe Ma, Jai Ambe Ma, Jai Ambe Ma, Jagadambe Ma.
जन्मा को तिलगी रगर हमारी बरो शंभुनाथ रहो कुआरी जन्मा को तिलगी रगर हमारी बरो शंभुनाथ रहो कुआरी
जय अम्बे मां जय अम्बे मां जय अम्बे मां जगदम्बे
तजौना नारर कर उपदेशु आपु कहि सठ बार महेशु तजौना नारर कर उपदेशु आपु कहि सठ बार महेशु
जय अम्बे मां जय अम्बे मां जय अम्बे मां जगदम्बे मां जय अम्बे मां जय अम्बे मां जय अम्बे मां जगदम्बे मां जय अम्बे मां जगदम्बे मां जय अम्बे मां जगदम्बे मां.
Princess Parvati said to that sadhu, Sadhuji, if I had the power, I'll rip your tongue out. You who have spoken of my Lord Shiva in such a degrading way, I cannot bear to hear your words. They burn my ears like fire. Let me tell you something. I will go on seeking Lord Shiva. And if he doesn't come in this life when I die, I will be reborn and I will seek him again. And I will continue to seek him if necessary for 1,000,000 births. One day he must come to me. That should be our attitude when we face difficulties and hardships and trials. My Lord, I know you love me. I know that by your grace and by your mercy I will get over this difficulty I am facing. I will not give up on you, Lord, no matter what comes my way. Even if death stares me in the face, I will not give up on you, Lord. There was a sadhu who was doing sadhana in a cave for many, many years. In one night, he had a very bad experience that he was seeing in the darkness of the cave hideous forms of demons. And they were laughing mockingly at him. And they were saying, "We will kill you tonight." And he saw the walls of the cave started to break. They said to him, "There's only one way you can be saved. You have to follow us. We'll give you whatever you want. Don't worship God. Follow us. If you don't follow us, you're going to die tonight." But he said to them, "Even if I have to die, I will never give up on God." And he felt any moment he would die, because it seemed the cracks were getting bigger and it seemed as if it will fall. The roof of the cave will collapse onto his head any moment. Then suddenly the darkness disappeared. There was a brilliant light. And in the center of that light was the Lord. And in relief, the sadhu cried, "Lord, where were you just now when I was facing this difficult trial? When I thought I would die, Lord, where were you just now?" And the Lord said, "My child, I was with you just now as I am with you now." So this tells us, even in our dark moments, even in our trials, God is with us. Even though we can't behold Him, we can't see Him, He's with us. He sees what we're going through. He wants us to become strong. That is why He allows us to go through. Hanumanji was doing God's work. When Lakshman was dying on the battlefield, he went thousands of miles away. Hanumanji flew thousands of miles away to the Himalayas for the Sajivan Muri to bring back Lakshman to life. But as he was flying back, he was shot down by Bharat. He came tumbling to the ground with his mountain and everything, and he fell unconscious to the ground. The moment he regained consciousness, Hanumanji took his mountain and flew right back. Even if we stumble, we must get up, dust ourselves off, and continue to fly towards God. What should be your attitude? Paramahansa Yogananda writes in these words, "The more thou dost try me, the more will I call for thy help alone. As defeats will pursue me, I will swifter race to thee. The more worries beat me, the deeper will I pray for thee. The stronger the storms of ignorance be that sweep o'er me, the more tightly will I wrap thy wisdom round me." The more you beat me, Divine Mother, the more I will grab onto your skirt. Don't we see that when we were little and we do something wrong and Mother takes up the whip to beat us? We grab onto her skirt and we hug her. Can she beat us when we do that? She drops the whip and she lifts us up and embraces us. When Mother whips us, we must grab on tightly to her skirt. Don't let go. Then she will have to drop her whip and lift us up, and she will embrace us with all her love. Parvati says, even if Lord Shiva himself came and said, "Parvati, give up your penance," it's a waste of time. I will not. I will go on seeking him. In this concluding doha, Tulsidas writes,
Bolo ma, bolo ma, bolo ma, Ambe ma, bolo ma, bolo ma, bolo ma, Ambe ma, bolo ma, bolo ma, bolo ma.
पितुमातु नाई चरण सिर मुनि चले पुनि पुनि हर सत गाटु
बोलो माँ बोलो माँ बोलो माँ बोलो माँ बोलो माँ बोलो माँ
तुम माया भगवान शिवा सकल जगत पितुमातु नाई चरण सिर मुनि चले पुनि पुनि हर सत गाटु
बोलो माँ बोलो माँ बोलो माँ मे माँ बोलो माँ बोलो माँ बोलो माँ मे माँ बोलो माँ बोलो माँ
The devotee says, everything else can wait, but my search for God can never wait. Time is running away, dear ones. For those who are a bit advanced in age, you ask yourself, where did the time go? Recently, one of our devotees celebrated his 60th birthday. And he said, I don't know where the time went. It's like I was born yesterday. Where did the time go? Time flies. When will we seek God? Kabir wrote in one of his songs, none came along, none accompanied departure. Says Kabir, in the end, departure is but with empty hands, like a loser gambler. Departure, death, is but with empty hands. We go alone, nothing we take with us. I'm not saying that we must not want material things. We need material things. But I'm saying that we must not be so attached to them that we forget God. We must balance our lives. If we don't, we leave this world. We don't take our beautiful house with us, not our beautiful expensive car, not our nice suits and clothing that we have, or dresses that we have. None. We can't take any with us. Our children whom we love, we can't take with us. Even if they want to go with us, they can't. Our husband, we can't take him with us. Our wife, we can't take her with us. We go alone. Departure is but with empty hands, like a loser gambler. For those who have not sought God, it's like we gambled and we lost, because death has found us and we have not found God. As Parvati looked, she saw the form of the sadhu change, and she was looking at Lord Shiva himself. So you see, God will test us, and when He's convinced, or when Divine Mother is convinced that our love is true, then the Divine reveals Himself or herself, how we conceive God to us. I would like to end with these words from a beautiful song which touched my heart very much. I think it's a Bengali song, and this is a translation. Door of my heart, open wide I keep for thee. Wilt thou come, wilt thou come? Just for once come to me. Will my days fly away without seeing thee, my Lord? Night and day I look for thee, night and day. Night and day, I look for thee, night and day. That should be your attitude. That should be your sadhana. Night and day, we must look for God. In the bad times like night, in the good times like day, we must look for God. We must be faithful to God. My Lord, just for once come to me. Will I die without seeing you, my Lord? Please come to me. That is the intensity of devotion of the devotee. To such a one, God must come. And so on this Ashtami, wonderful devotees of God, on this Ashtami, I pray to Divine Mother that we'll be blessed with that intensity of devotion like Parvati Ma had, like Brahmacharini had, that we too can find God in this life before death finds us. Om Shanti, 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 Hari Om.
Thank you very much, Swamiji, for your wonderful pravachan on this 7th session of our Navratri celebration here at America's Vaishram Sangha, our Sharad Navratri. Thank you very much, Swamiji, on behalf of all of us present here for your 7th session pravachan. Devotees and friends, we will continue the program. We will have one of our Kanyas, Sarika, will sing a special song for her fellow Kanyakumaris, and it's a special bhajan dedicated to all the Kanyas. She will sing that bhajan now. Following that, we will have some announcement, and then we will proceed to Guru and Durga Arti. Again, I would like to thank all our Kanyas, the parents of the Kanyas, and our little Aditya. Look at Aditya, the little king in the corner there. He's not smiling at all. And he's here year after year. They look so beautiful. We'll now listen to Sarika.